listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections, a place to learn about and celebrate creative arts therapy. Each week, we'll explore new ways that music, art, and dance can reach, connect with, and help individuals of all stages of health and wellness. Hi, I'm Bree Bynan, a board-certified music therapist and the managing partner for the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. Tune in as I interview professionals from healthcare and educational backgrounds on the impact of the creative arts. If you prefer to watch our live video stream, simply visit www.pbmti.com. Hello, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host. My name is Bree Bynan. I'm a board-certified music therapist and a certified neurologic music therapist working here locally in South Florida with the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. If this is your first time listening to our program, just to give you an idea of what to expect, we take an hour each week to shine a light on those who are working in our community, whether it's working in healthcare or education, or maybe even finding creative solutions to address team building needs in the community or in the corporate setting. And oftentimes we do that by connecting with creative arts therapies professionals and other professionals in the field who are looking outside the box to find a new way to reach people, to connect with people. Today we are going to be talking about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, which is working with seniors in long-term care. And that is personally where I work when I'm in the field, working in this setting. And if you listen week to week, you know a lot of this. Some will just be review. But I work specifically with those with neurodegenerative disorders. So working a lot with individuals with different stages of dementia, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, stroke survivors, ALS, and use music and other sensory stimulation tools to connect with these individuals and to help them get pieces of themselves back that maybe have not been tapped in a while for whatever reason. And as we know, as many of us know from our own personal experiences, music is one way that we can always reach someone, regardless of their age, regardless of where they're at in their life, their culture, their language even. We've been talking about that a lot the last couple weeks. Music being universal language, that even if you don't have the same life experience as someone, which obviously me working in senior care, I wouldn't have the same life experience as many of the clients that I work with, but music is a way that I can connect with them. And not only connect with them, but from there, learn more about them, learn their story. I just came from a group today, a brand new program at a memory care unit I'd never been to before. I'd never met any of these individuals. And even though meeting them in this stage of their life, where they are living in a locked unit, and they were not verbal when I first walked in and introduced myself, through the course of an hour of sharing music together, music that is familiar to them, that has special connections with them from their early years, I could tell you what many of them did for a job, what sports they played in school, who in the group they thought was cute and wanted to send a love song to. A lot of things that I wouldn't know if I had just walked in, introduced myself, and left the room, without having music as that way for us to interact with one another, to bond with one another, and to share really meaningful interaction with one another. So I can't say enough good things about our topic today. Again, it is something that's very close to my heart. Not only do I love the work I do, which I think comes across each week, but I can't do the work I do without having amazing advocates in the community, specifically those outside of our profession who recognize the benefits of music therapy and not only recognize it, but fight hard to make it a possibility for those that they work with. And I'm so excited to introduce you to one of the biggest champions I can think of for music therapy in our community, Allie Shevlin. She is the activity director for Harbor's Edge, which is a local community here in Delray Beach, Florida. So Allie's going to be talking a lot more about what Harbor's Edge is, what kind of services they offer, what they offer to the community, and why she specifically sees music therapy as such a great asset. Not only does she recognize the benefits, and our connection goes way back before even working with PBMTI, of my previous position working with hospice patients one-on-one, working in through music therapy, working one-on-one. And she would always recognize the importance of that and the importance of addressing those goals rather than just being entertainment, which is a valuable tool as well that I know she also and many activity directors do have excellent entertainment in their facilities. And one is not better or worse than the other. They can all exist together in creating a musical space, knowing that music therapy is addressing goals that are non-musical. She's a really great advocate for that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Not only, again, is she supporting music therapy in general, but for these different needs. So we have groups that are movement-based and sensory stim-based in the mornings to help people wake up and get ready for their day and get ready for lunch and social time, and programs specific for nighttime for those who are coping with sundowners as a part of their disease process. How can music be a way to help them transition from the excitement of dinner and being in that social setting to going to bed? What is in between there? And we've filled that space 3 nights a week now with a group called Sunset Serenades, specifically working on those goals for relaxation, but also keeping that connection as well as they're transitioning into nighttime. Because as many people know who may be listening, that is very common for people who are experiencing this diagnosis, that they will be up all night and sleeping during the day. So how can music therapy help with that transition, with that change in schedule when there's so much expected of them during the day? There's so many things planned, so many fun things planned, as we're going to learn. Again, finding that functional need for the music therapy. What is this really helping outside of the session? And always appreciative for those professionals and caregivers and community members and advocates that recognize that. It's invaluable. I just wanted to, if you are watching this, you might see that I have a myriad of things out on the table here. If you're listening, I will do my best to explain it, to paint the picture for you. But I just wanted to give an example, or a few examples, of how you can use music in this setting this time of year, because this is probably my favorite time of year to do session planning and themes for music therapy groups. And if you're an activities director or activities aide or any kind of professional working the setting, or a caregiver at home, you don't have to have a degree to be able to employ some of these ideas. So I always like to share kind of the take it home and use it versions of things. So the reason that this is one of my favorite times of year to plan sessions like this, or plan sessions for this setting, is because spring is so engaging to all of our senses. We can talk about the colors that we see in springtime, the things that we hear in springtime, the things we smell in springtime, the things we feel. It's all encompassing, much like the holidays. Talking about memories of the holidays are very, very similar. A lot of our clients or our participants, our residents that we work with here in South Florida are not from South Florida. Many of them are from up north. So the idea, as am I, so I can relate, that is one level that I can relate on, is how exciting it is to go outside without your jacket for the first time after being cooped up, especially if you're in New York or Massachusetts or Chicago. You've got all your layers on, you've avoided being outside for more months than you can remember, and finally you get to go outside, and what that feeling is like to make plans outside, to go for a walk, to go to a lake house, to go on a bike ride, to go to a baseball game. And so music is one way that can kind of reconnect people with those memories. So I choose a lot of songs that are appropriate for the weather. So here in Florida, we're enjoying this beautiful 80-degree sunshiny weather. And in the next month or so, we'll be entering our rainy season. But we know, because we're here in Florida, that even if it rains, likely there's going to be sun after that. So I use a lot of songs that talk about weather patterns. I'm singing in the rain, which reminds us that even if it's rainy outside and it's not sunny every day and there's a gray cloud, that we can still make the best of that situation. We can still go singing in the rain. And so I'll ask a question like, well, okay, have you ever gone singing in the rain? Oh, well, that's kind of silly, Okay. Did you ever go out and jump in puddles when you were told not to? And they kind of like look around and it's okay. I did. It's so fun. Who doesn't want to do that as a kid? And it kind of just gets people connecting with one another and laughing. Singing in the rain will make people smile and move like nothing else. That's a standard that I almost use. Here in Florida, you can use really all year round. One kind of fun thing that came out of using this instrument, which if you're not watching, I have the claves, is that somebody today, again, a group that I was in for the first time, immediately picked up this rhythm. Singing in the rain, I'm singing in the rain. And it wasn't just your standard kind of clapping rhythm. He had a real rhythm to it, and I immediately thought, all I could picture was Gene Kelly tap dancing to that kind of off the beat rhythm. Pop, 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 pop. And that image of him and his umbrella and his rainbow. So I shared that afterwards. I said, wow, that was a great rhythm that you pulled out of just listening to the guitar and singing along to that. That instrument especially makes me think of taps on his shoes. And someone across the room said, I used to tap dance. And it started a whole conversation from there. Just from hearing a song that they heard 50, 60 years ago and recalling that rhythm from it. So strong. Colors. Talk about what's coming back in springtime. The flowers are coming back. The birds are coming back. So again, if you can't see, I have colorful scarves. I use scarves a lot, bright colors that are distinguishable, that they can kind of reach in and choose the color they want. A colorful umbrella, instruments that are full of color to engage that sense as well. What are the colors that you see in springtime? Going back to weather, I try to use a lot of instruments that can remind us of nature sounds. So this is one. If you can't see, you can guess what this instrument is. I have no idea how that's coming across on the radio. I hope it's not horrible. It's very soothing in real life. It's a rain stick. So I have a couple different sizes of rain sticks that I use, as well as an ocean drum. And if you have ever experienced the ocean drum, it's everybody's favorite. What I did this week in Allie's group is everyone had an instrument that was rain related. So either it was the nice light sound of an egg shaker, I had a few rain sticks, and then I had one of the women in the group be the leader on the ocean drum because it's a very big instrument and she put her legs flat. She could put it on. I said, all you have to do is shift it from side to side. And you're going to determine how strong our rainstorm is. So we're not going to have any other instruments. We're not going to be singing, but we're going to listen for your ocean drum because it's loud. And you can decide if this is a nice light rain or a big strong storm. And everyone else listened on their instruments to follow along to what that one individual was playing. And we kind of played through a musical rainstorm together. And as you'll hear from Allie as we talk, these are not all individuals who maybe would be able to have a conversation about a rainstorm and process what that's like, or even if they enjoy that sound, but through the music could share that experience together. What are some activities that people like to do in springtime when you get to go outside for the first time? I got some really interesting answers to this one today. But one of the big things I think about is sports. You know, what activities do you like to go out and do? Go biking, go swimming, go for a walk, play tennis, go to a baseball game. So again, if you're listening, I'm holding a baseball that I got from singing at, I think it was a Marlins game. And so one of my participants today was a big Marlins fan. So having something tangible, physical to hold on to, this feeling, the threading of a baseball is very familiar to those who've played the sport or have positive connections with going to watch games, and maybe passing it. So again, you're reaching out and you're connecting, you're being aware of who's around you, and have that physical act of passing it to someone, and then changing the lyrics to fit that. So we did Take Me Out to the Ball Game, obviously the right fit for baseball memories. And so I said, all right, what are your favorite teams? And inserting those in. All right, this time we're going to root for the Marlins. This time we're going to root for the Yankees. It's a very popular one here in South Florida. So these are just a few ideas. One other thing that I like to engage, because it's really the closest when it comes to engaging the whole brain, other than music, is our sense of smell. And although it is something that, if you're familiar with those who are living with dementia or Alzheimer's, that we do lose our sense of smell sometimes in that disease process, many people do maintain strong connections. If they smell something familiar, they are able to come up with a memory. Not always, but sometimes. So I will try to engage a familiar scent. So for springtime, obviously, I would be looking. This happens to be a Christmas candle. I would not use this for springtime. That would be confusing. But I would look for some kind of fresh laundry or fresh cut flowers smell and bring that around the group as well. And just tie all of the senses together in the session. So those are just a few ideas. Allie's going to give us a million more ways that she does this as her job every day, engaging her residents on all different levels and how she makes that works and makes that a successful, encouraging environment for them. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we are going to introduce Allie Shevlin from Harbor's Edge here in Delray Beach. Thanks so much.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Hello, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Bynan, and I'm so excited to introduce to you someone that I've been working with in the field for many years and have been really anxious to have on the show just to talk about all the great ideas she has and the work that she does. So thank you so much, Allie, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So if we want to just get started by just telling me a little bit about your background. Now, this is something you and I have talked about several times. It's kind of not as so usual that someone our age would be interested in going right into working in senior care, and that's your background, right, education-wise. So, what got you interested in working in this setting?
Well, I grew up in Morristown, New Jersey, and I was very, very close with my my one grandmother growing up. I spent every Saturday night with her, watching Golden Girls and Empty Nest on Saturday night, and I became very, very close with her. She was unable to live in her apartment anymore, and we placed her in an assisted living facility. And she was one of the founding residents there, so she had, the nice big room and the gorgeous bay window, and everybody loved to come and see her apartment. And I would go and visit her all the time and do her nails and kind of get involved in the activities that would go on there. So in doing that, I just grew kind of a passion for elderly people and for the geriatric population. I went to Towson University in Maryland, and for the first 2.5, 3 years, didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then my grandmother passed away when I was in college, which kind of gave me a little insight into the fact that, since I enjoyed that so much in high school and being with her and had been away at college, not that I lost the relationship with her, but I still missed her greatly when she went. So I looked into it, and they had a geriatric program. So I got my bachelor's in gerontology and graduated and started working pretty much immediately in a CCRC, a continuing care retirement community. I was an activities assistant there while I was living with my sister after college. And then in 2004, I packed a car and I moved to Florida. Didn't know anybody or anything.
For a
And
job or just a
just to get out of Westminster, Maryland, to be honest with you, and just needed a change. But I said, what better place to go to than where all older people retire, and the job market down there would probably be a good one. So it took me about a year, but I did start getting into the field, and I was in geriatric care management. I touched in assisted living. I ran a memory care unit for a little while. And now I've been at Harbor's Edge. It'll be 6 years in June.
So usually people come into the activity world having obviously the passion for reaching the aging community in this way, but have a little bit of a creative background. Where does your creativity come from?
That's a good question. Some days I'm a little frustrated, because you have to get really creative working with this population. And I think that working in the memory care unit definitely gave me insight with Alzheimer's and dementia, what their needs that needed to be met. And that was pretty much creating a home-like environment for them. And my one thing that I did that was there that still hopefully is going on to this day was having the aides actually cook breakfast in the memory care unit, so that, like you were saying before, the smells actually, bring them out. I would have one of the residents would help set the table. It just created that home-like environment. So the creative aspect of, okay, what can I do to, number one, make sure that these residents are getting a good hot meal in the morning and they are smelling those smells and they're not losing weight, and it's more stepping into their world is to gain that creative ability. So what's going to make them feel valuable? Because a lot of these people, by the time they're to where I'm at, working with them, they've lost their value and they've lost their purpose in their life. And it really is necessary to help them regain that for what they have, left, to be able to feel worth it at the end of their life. So it's kind of just hopping into their world and making sure that they're comfortable in it.
That's a great way to phrase that perspective. Sometimes it doesn't come from us.
No.
We can sit and plan all we want, but we walk into a room, we don't necessarily know what the needs are that day and how to best meet those needs. That's a great way to put it. So you talked a little bit about the evolution of kind of working in senior care in different settings, being at Harbor's Edge now for 6 years. Can you tell us a little bit about what Harbor's Edge is and what kind of services they provide?
Sure. We have over 300 residents in our independent living area. Our ranges are from 70 to 108. We just had a resident turn 108 years old this past year. It is a 266 apartment right on the Intercoastal in Delray Beach. It's a gorgeous property, and right now we are undergoing a $20 million renovation in our independent living, which is going to provide us with a new lifelong learning center, 2 new dining venues, a brand new fitness center and beauty salon. It's really evolving. It's absolutely gorgeous. Our independent living is a buy-in, so you're able to, once you're 62, be able to buy in there. It would just be like purchasing a home. It's owned by LifeSpace Communities, which has 12 properties in different parts of the country, and our home office is out of Des Moines, Iowa.
And there are a few other life-space communities in the area as well, right?
Yes, we have Abbey Delray South, and then the Waterford is up in Jupiter. So those are four of our, Florida communities. Then there's one up in Orlando. I believe it's Village on the Green. The health center where I work is a 54-bed skilled nursing facility. We have long-term and short-term residents. Our long-term residents are people that live there and have either transitioned from the independent living when they needed more help or more skilled nursing into the health center. So they have become permanently assigned residents there. And we have also Medicare short-term people that go in for elective knee or a hip surgery or have had a stroke and need to come for physical, occupational, or skilled, speech therapy. So we offer those therapies through rehab care that is in our community. And it's a, intense inpatient process that, they go through. So It's a great place to work. I mean, I actually, when I was a geriatric care manager, I always tell this to the people that come into the health center. I had a lot of bad experiences going in and out of skilled nursing facilities. And when I walked in there, I said, okay, this place is clean and it smells good and the people are smiling at me and it's nice and it's just a warm, welcoming environment. So I definitely enjoy it there.
It makes a difference.
Yes, a big difference.
And the staff smiling, but residents smiling too, and
That's
caregivers. I
true.
mean, it does. It makes a huge difference, and you can spend as much money on beautiful
Yes.
renovations as possible, but that's where the core of it is, and you feel it.
Yes.
There, absolutely. We're going to talk about this later as we get into more the specifics of some of the interventions that you do, but you're talking about long-term and short-term being specifically where you work at the healthcare center. So can you touch a little bit on how some of the challenges, but also how you find solutions to reaching that myriad of needs? It's a wide range.
Our dynamic has definitely changed since I've been there. We did have a lot more long-term people when I started 6 years ago. So as the dynamic has evolved, I've also had the challenge of evolving the activities programming. So a lot of my short-term residents that come in right now under Medicare are 70s, some 80s, but mostly 70-year-old, elective knee people that want to come in, do their therapy, go on their iPads, have their visitors, and that's it. They don't really want to engage too much in any of the group activities. So more of my group activities would focus on more of the lower functioning, or we try to mix it up a little bit because some of them do meet the needs of both groups of people. That's why we've added such a great amount of music therapy, because it does meet the need of both of them. And having a long-term dementia resident who, can't really express their feelings, to watch her come out and sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," in addition to a 72-year-old woman who's here for knee sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and be right next to each other, is a great, experience to watch. So the integration, I think, through my activities, through the separate activities that we have, as well as the music therapy, it definitely meets the needs of both generations, even though they're the same generation, both people.
Yeah, it is.
Let's
It
put
is.
that out there.
I understand. Yeah. What's kind of cool to see in our groups too is because we know we do try, and there's certainly value in identifying specific needs of things, which we do as far as those that would need a little more help in the mornings, kind of getting more active and more stimulated, and those that need a little more help at night, kind of quieting down, becoming more relaxed. But there is that difference in cognition too. And what's kind of cool to see is when that happens, the people are supporting each other. How can I help you? And then when they do have that moment together, like you were describing, of singing a song together or sharing together, they look so happy that they look around the room, and it says a lot for you all and how you set that up for success too, because oftentimes I'm in a situation like that and people feel depressed when they look around and people are at different levels and they say, I am afraid
To be around
to
that.
be that. Yeah. I don't feel that way in our group. It's just, such a supportive environment. And I think the expectations are there that for if someone is short term, they see it as almost a way that they can kind of give back while they're there. And I think that takes being recognized, by you guys and by the staff of what's an extra role you can take, like you mentioned, of waking up and setting the table for breakfast. I love that idea. That's excellent. But that takes a team of people to stick to that. Yeah. Also, one other thing while we're talking about Harbor's Edge, and I know that some people are outside coming in for hired caregivers, but I don't know if I've ever experienced hired caregivers like you all seem to have in this group.
Yes, I know.
My goodness. So fortunate. Some of those people, can you just go with me the rest of the day? And keep,
Yeah.
it makes such a difference to have a caregiver, whether it's a family member or a hired caregiver, which you have both, and we have both in that group. And I'm speaking from one of the 4 groups that we
Yes.
do during the week. That personal interaction and encouragement and positivity makes such a difference. And I'm sure, like I said, I'm there 1 hour a week, so I can only imagine the rest of your programs.
We do have a lot of interaction, and my activities assistant, Caitlin, can definitely vouch for the fact that, it takes a village, and especially in a situation like that where you do have, I have some residents that'll call out or act out, during a group, and sometimes in music therapy, it's a little bit more accepted because we can make it part of the music therapy group. But those private caregivers really do help to enhance the programming and bring a lot to the table for the people that they're there for and serving. They actually end up being, like I said, the village, everybody takes care of everybody. So I have noticed that, and we are very fortunate to have a lot of people that are involved, because when you're a private caregiver, it can get a little monotonous and it can get a little tiring. But there's a lot of support, and I can see a lot of support among that group that they help each other.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Camaraderie amongst the caregivers as well, which is great. We're going to start diving in more specifically into the music therapy itself and what kind of impact you think that's had on your residents, on your facility, after just a brief moment from our sponsors. The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Hello, thank you so much for listening and watching tonight. You have joined us at Connections. I'm your host, Bree Bynan, board-certified music therapist with the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. And I'm talking to one of my colleagues that I've known throughout the years. I'm also honored to say that we provide services at her facility, Harbor's Edge, here in Delray Beach. Allie, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. So before the break, you were giving us a little bit of information about your background, how you ended up working in the setting you're in, and how that's so important to have someone who really respects and appreciates the unique needs of seniors in this position, which you clearly do. And not only that, but having a team to feel supported by. So you mentioned your activities assistant, Caitlin, who's wonderful. The different caregivers and the different staff at the facility. It takes a village to make this setting supportive and making people, like you said, returning that sense of worth and self-esteem, and also, friendship, fostering those friendships as people are new to this setting. They've lost a lot of their independence, a lot of the things that they're used to, home and schedule. So I think it's fabulous that your facility does put the emphasis on your position there in activities, because that's quality of life. That's quality of life. And we're lucky and fortunate that you've identified music therapy as a way that can help people through this time. And so I just wondered, kind of going back, was when you had come to this job 6 years ago, had you already had a background of working with music therapy, or? Oh, okay.
Not really.
So what was some of your observations that made you an advocate?
I started when I saw you start coming into some of our hospice residents and seeing the impact that it had on the residents' well-being. Obviously, people that are on hospice are near the end of life. Some are able to bounce back, and that's great. But to give them a quality of life at the end of their time really, I think, was very important to me. And once I started seeing the impact that you had coming in, I felt like it was something that could be very beneficial to the programming there.
That's great. And not long after that, started doing groups and also individual sessions, which is not very common, actually, for facilities to put that in their budget to support. So what do you see the benefits? Well, obviously, if you're group and individual, and how does that differ? How does it differ when you're making referrals as well?
I think that, especially with the amount we have, everybody says, when's entertainment coming? And I said, well, we don't have entertainment today, but we have music therapy. And they say, well, that's entertainment. And I said, well, it's not. And I kind of cringe. When I first started working at Harbor's Edge, there was Sarah coming, and she, I remember filling out her invoice, and under the type I had put entertainment, and she said, but we're not entertainment. And
Good job, Sarah.
had a long, shout out to Sarah.
Yeah.
I had a little conversation with her about it, and I said, I just didn't know how to word it under there, and obviously I put music therapy, and started doing that with the invoices afterwards, but I really just saw the benefit of the reminiscing that was done, the tactile, as far as the vibration of a maraca, or if someone couldn't necessarily speak how they were feeling, I have some residents that will just shake the heck out of a maraca, and they love that feeling that it gives them, and they have a huge smile on their face. So it's a great to see that response. And once I slowly started seeing it throughout more of our cognitively impaired residents, I realized, well, even our, cognitively with it patients would be able to benefit from this. So that's when I started adding a few more sessions. And then, we had our challenge at night with having a couple of behavior residents that would call out or cry and have tearfulness. And have noticed that the benefit of having those residents in those nighttime group sessions has really taken off. And sometimes, I think I've told you that I'll get more people in a nighttime session than I will in a morning session, which says a lot, because a lot of times right after dinner, people just want to go into their room and watch TV and go to bed. But I've been getting, 9, 11 residents, and that's a huge step. And they've been doing really great and working very well at night. The one-on-ones, I think, are beneficial for those residents that don't like to come out of their rooms. And I have a couple of them. Not that they're not cognitively able to come out and participate. They just never were social people. So they don't want to be in a group setting, and they don't want to, necessarily have to interact with other people, but they've grown that relationship with that music therapist and interact with them. I have one in particular that, she's become very close with the husband as well as the wife, who is there every single day with him. So they've grown a great relationship, and it's, even if she just came for him, I know that she's making a difference in that one resident, every day, or every week when she comes.
And again, that you recognize the value in that is huge. And I think that a lot of times people do forget about, if someone chooses to stay in their room, which is their choice, and they are fully, encouraged to be making choices at this time, that they still might want to be social and have those social connections. One thing that came to mind, and without using names, obviously, but someone who was very special to both you and I years ago, who was at Harbor's Edge, someone who cognitively was aware, but in her disease process was not able to verbalize so much. That's someone I'll always carry with me, because music, I thought what I was working on, even though I'm pretty sure she gave me a lot more than I gave her.
Yes.
Look, we're already getting emotional thinking about
The
her.
tears are coming. Everybody knows
sorry.
me.
I'm so sorry. I didn't even
miss
give you
her.
a heads up that I was going to talk about her. Is that she could make choices with her hands, as far as what instrument to play, or what song she would like to hear. And that just always made an impact on me, that I knew that she was there making those choices, and that was something that made her really happy and made her feel really special to be heard in that way, because she wasn't being heard in a lot of ways. And I know she was by you, though, because I know she was very special to both of us.
She was so independent too. I mean,
Yeah.
and that, I think with Parkinson's, you
Yeah.
cannot voice what you're feeling, and you cannot get out, and it's so frustrating for that person, and you just want to say, like, I just want to do whatever I can.
Right.
And I think that through music therapy, it certainly met, I'd say, 99% of her needs and what she needed to do to feel of value at that point in her life.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because I felt like we had that connection too.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was a very,
She was awesome.
very special. Yep. Okay. Sorry, I made you cry. On to something fun. So different ways that I talked a lot about sensory stim and colors, and we get the parachute going, and that's all fun and all that stuff. But one thing that you've mentioned that you thought was interesting was the introduction of technology into some of these things. So how have you seen that be a benefit?
I think that our residents, first of all, they're completely, flabbergasted that you can come in and pull up a YouTube video of a song they listened to in 1935.
Or that they wrote and we recorded.
Oh, yes, that's true. I didn't even think about that. But they'll say, we listened to the song when I was 15, 20 years old, and now you're playing it on this little device that I don't know how to use. We actually, in our independent living, we do tech rallies over there because we try to integrate and help the residents learn how to use an iPad so that they can FaceTime, with their grandchildren, in other places. So there's a good opportunity to kind of bring them into this century, even though they probably won't be using it, that we can kind of help them. And I know that Elise, the other night, she had done something with like colors or something on the iPad, and they were able to choose.
Did you see our video, the marketing video?
I did
Okay.
not
I
yet.
need to send that
Okay.
to you because your residence are the star of this
Okay.
thing. And what she did is she used an app. I can't remember the name of it right now. But in the app, it's like a Wheel of Fortune type spinning wheel.
Okay.
And then she said each of the colors was a different selection. So 20s, 30s, 40s, country, patriotic,
Okay.
Broadway, movie themes. And then what they had to do, and it was big, so it wasn't frustrating to find. She'd look for the big red button in the center, push it, and then it would spin and select a genre of music. And it was something that everyone could do. To lift their head, move their finger, even just one finger, and touch it. It was a successful thing. And then it made a choice that, odds are they were going to be happy with. It wasn't rap and,
Yeah.
something they weren't familiar
Wasn't
with.
me rapping shoot.
Right, exactly. Oh, they would have loved that.
I'm sure they would
have absolutely loved that. Shoop and Shevlin. Now I'm never letting that go.
Oh, Lordy.
But it was something that they could do. And yeah, I agree that I think it's a fine line with technology. And I try to be aware of it too, because I keep all my notes on my iPad and my phone and all this stuff. And when I pull out my phone in front of someone, I don't want them to think I'm texting in front of them or even understanding what texting is and why are you putting this device between me and you when we're having a conversation right now. So I try to be sensitive to that. So the more that we can include someone in that, I'm not just looking at something on my tablet. This is something we can share together. I think is a really neat way to connect, like you said. And also, as we have children and grandchildren who are visiting and join the group, which happens a lot, it's a neat way to make that connection because they're going to see their family members on devices all the time. And hey, I know on your phone that there's a program where I can watch big band songs.
Yep.
And it's a way for them to connect in that way. I think that's great. One more thing, again, talked about sensory stimulation, the instrument play. How do you see that being beneficial, different instrument instruction? I know that in addition to obviously music therapy, you've had drummers come in and do some African drumming.
We have a drum circle guy that comes in and does drum circle with them. I think that it helps to stimulate them. And a lot of times, especially in the morning after they eat breakfast, they're sluggish and they are tired. And I have one resident that will sleep all throughout, exercise with myself or Caitlin from 10 to 10:30. But as soon as 10:45 rolls around, she wakes up, you put that shaker in her hand, and sometimes it's very difficult to get out of her hand. And she will shake the shaker, and she knows all the words to all the songs.
Every word.
Wakes her up, and she is alert and active and, engaged in that time.
And happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to see that and see that the not just someone coming in and playing a guitar and singing to them, but that there is more interaction through that, and you can pick them out and say, this person play, and kind of allow them to create a band, for that 45 minutes, half hour or hour. It just really helps them, whether it's sensory stimulation, like I said, the shaker, can provide stimulation for them. And that might be the only, stimulation that they get for the day, by using those different instruments. So I think it's a great aspect to the whole thing. I have residents that like their specific.
Yes.
They have some. I want the tambourine, or I want the rhythm sticks, and don't take her drum. You better not take her drum. So, my one gentleman that passed away that used to always have that drum, and he would always, that was what he played. So,
And everyone knew it.
yes, and they didn't take it.
No, because they respected that.
Yep.
And until we find those preferences, that's another opportunity for control and choice making.
Yes.
Which, as simple as it may be to say claves or a shaker, or take the words out completely and just have that visual cue, and being able to even nod to one, to me, that's one of my favorite things about my job, honestly, is just to give that little bit of independence, control back. That's an honor for me to be even a part of that, be able to do that. So, again, thank you for the opportunity to even be in that world with them, which is, I tell them every week, I'm not just saying it, what a better way for me to start my week Monday morning than with that group. And they're so happy. When you walk in the door, they may not remember my name, and that's okay.
They never remember mine either.
That's
It's okay.
And that's all right.
They see me every
but
day.
they know what we're about to do, and that's a really cool feeling. It's a really special feeling. So we are going to talk a little bit more specifically about some interventions that Allie uses in her everyday setting as the activity director, and the really touching back on the importance of engaging all levels of cognitive functioning, which is really important. So stick around just after a few minutes from our sponsors. Thank you.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer, Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Hello, thank you so much for listening tonight. You are joining us at Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Bynan, and I have with me tonight my guest, Allie Shevlin, who is the Activity Director for Harbor's Edge here locally in Delray Beach, Florida. Before we get into some of the specifics of your job and kind of the activities that you're a part of and you manage and you organize, such a great calendar, can you just tell us, if people weren't listening earlier, again, a little bit more about Harbor's Edge? It's kind of like a village.
It is.
There's a lot going on in there. So
There
you
is.
might not realize that driving by on Linton, right by the water, right off Linton. So what all is going on at Harbor's Edge?
Well, a lot of people can miss it. We're right behind the Carrabba's, and we're a gated community. We have independent living and skilled nursing. We don't have any assisted living at this time. But our skilled nursing facility, where I specifically work, caters to short and long-term residents who are either here for short-term knee replacement or had a stroke or hip replacements, and then we do have some long-term residents. It's a CCRC, so if there are residents in the independent living that are looking for more help once they start to decline, then they are able to come over to our health center and be there for whatever their need is. Also, they're able to come over if they fall in their apartment and need rehab, they come over and stay with us.
And I think that's another reason why it's so important to have a strong activities department, because you're dealing with that transition as well, which is not easy for someone, even though they can see their building, right? It's right
Yes.
there. So helping that transition, and again, creating that supportive environment where people aren't under or overstimulated. There are opportunities for everyone on the spectrum. I think it's so important. So if you want to share a little bit about some of the activities that you have going on that reaches some of those different needs.
Well, our independent living activities obviously meet the needs of the residents in the independent living. It truly is like being at a kind of like a resort. Judy Stauffer is the activity director for the independent living, and she does, tomorrow night they're having their luau.
Nice.
So we will be having flamethrowers and, the hula dancers, which is actually what we're going to be doing in May for National Nursing Home Week. So for National Nursing Home Week, we have a whole week full of really fun activities. We do a surf and turf night. I don't know of any other skilled nursing facility in the area that will serve filet mignon and lobster tail, but we will be doing that.
Are your vendors invited? Yes. Just want to get that on the air.
We do our luau. We have an ice cream social. I have belly dancers coming this year, doing a Greek-themed night. It all kicks off of Mother's Day, which is May 8th this year, if you don't remember. But Mother's Day is a big holiday, obviously, for us there. We do a lot of different things. I try to, cater to our short-term residents as well. I do have a gentleman that comes in and does Reiki and meditation twice a month, so that can help with pain that people might be going through. Today we just had our staff member who is our groundsman, Robert. He came in and did a planting class. So he does a little planting class, kind of talks about what's going on and what new things are being planted around the property. He knows all the names of all the trees and
Very
everything that's
cool.
around the property. So he brings that in, and then the residents are actually able to take the plant that he planted and talked about back to their room. I also have I have a couple of volunteers, and actually it's National Volunteer Week this week, so we will be recognizing them throughout the course of the week. I have 6 outside volunteers right now and 10 volunteers from the independent living that come over and volunteer in our health center. And do various things. My one lady does create a card, and she'll make greeting cards. So my residents that want to send greeting cards to their family members and can't get out to the Hallmark store or to Publix are able to make one, and then they can, we can send them for them. I have different sing-alongs. My one gentleman, actually the create a card's husband, her husband does the sing-along on Sunday. I also have a volunteer of one of our staff members there. Her son comes in and does computer help. So if one of our short-term resident and even long-term residents come in, they can help with the iPad usage or an iPhone. They also, my one long-term resident likes to Skype with her son in Poland. So, or FaceTime with him. So that, kind of helps it as well. Every Friday we have happy hour. So we, serve up some snacks and some drinks for the residents and have entertainment come in. So our entertainment is on Friday and Sundays. And then our music therapy is those other days. And I make sure to try to differentiate those two so that people know that the music therapy will really be meeting reminiscing needs and cognitive needs rather than the entertainment that's there on Friday and Saturday or Sunday.
You're always busy. You always have fun things going on. And not only that, but you also keep the community engaged, family members who are, it's not ever an easy, thing to decide to have your family member move into a facility, especially if they're very independent at home and it's a big change, which it's always a big change. So I love that you guys do not only the activities that you do, but you keep the community and family members informed of, some of the fun stuff they're doing through your Facebook page.
Yes.
And there was a big Facebook thing a
yes.
year ago, right? Where you wanted to get all the likes. So tell people how they can get connected with you guys, Facebook, but other ways as well.
We can go, if you go on Facebook and search in the search bar for Harbor's Edge, it would be facebook.com and then /Lifespace Harbor's Edge is how you would get on our Facebook page. And if you have any questions about the, marketing department and want to get in and kind of see our community and see about the possibilities of moving in, Kathy Russos is our marketing director there, and you can contact her at 561-526-0145. She would be more than happy to set up a tour for you of the independent living as well as the health center if you needed to come in for, we're having a knee surgery and needed to come in for inpatient rehab.
One more time for her name and number.
Kathy Russos, and her number is 561-526-0145.
Wonderful. I have to say very quickly, one of my favorite features on the Facebook page is Mopsy Mondays, when you bring Mopsy in. He's so cute. Allie, thank you so much for your support over the years and for coming on and sharing so much about what you do with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, everyone, have a wonderful week. We look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday.
That was fast.
Thank you for listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. We hope you enjoyed today's program and discovered new ways to bring music, art, and dance into your home or workplace. Please find a copy of today's show at pbmti.com. If you have any questions for our guest or myself, please email me at Bree, that's BREE, at pbmti.com, or call the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute at 561-747-9944. Tune back in next week for an all-new live show. See you then.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers.